In comparison to man-portable flamethrowers, flame tanks carried much more fuel and could fire longer-range bursts. Due to their ability to get in range of enemy positions in comparative safety, they were invaluable for rooting out heavy infantry fortifications. The 5-week-long Battle of Iwo Jima saw some of the fiercest and bloodiest fighting of the Pacific. The Japanese army positions on the island were heavily fortified with a dense network of bunkers, hidden artillery positions, and 18 kilometers of tunnels. The US couldn't afford to hop over Iwo Jima, as it had many other Japanese-held islands. Aircraft on Iwo Jima could intercept bombers headed for the Japanese mainland and warn the home islands of incoming attacks. If American troops could capture the island, they could use it as a staging area for attacks on Japan and fly bombing missions with fighter escorts. When Marines first landed on the beaches, they met light resistance and gathered forces for about an hour. That's when the Japanese opened up on them in what one Marine called a nightmare in hell. But the Marines brought their own nightmare to the fight. The M2 flamethrower used by the Marine Corps infantry was a backpack-carried weapon effective in clearing out caves, pillboxes, and other reinforced positions. It had proven itself to be an effective weapon in the fighting on the Pacific Islands. The problem was that the lifespan of a Marine wielding the flamethrower was roughly 4 minutes. Aside from the fact that they were carrying compressed gas and liquid fuel on their backs, the bright orange flames made them an attractive target for snipers. The close range required for its use made them extremely vulnerable to small arms fire, and the cumbersome nature of the weapon forced them to move at a slower pace. The main guns of the US tanks were also unsuccessful in penetrating the thick bunkers created by the Japanese defenders on the island. The solution was to mount the flamethrower on an armored vehicle, while infantrymen provided the necessary security during their deployment. One of the technological innovations of the battle was the 8 Sherman M4A3R3 medium tanks equipped with flamethrowers, proved very effective at clearing the Japanese positions. The Ronson flamethrower was developed for a mechanized application during World War II and was used by the Canadian Army and the United States Marine Corps. The Ronson was developed by the British Petroleum Warfare Department in 1940. Having insufficient range, it was passed over for British use but taken up by the Canadians for development. From there, it came to the attention of the United States. They placed an order for 20 units, followed by another for 10. These were given to Colonel George Unmacht of the Chemical Warfare Service in Hawaii. Seabees under his command installed the Ronson units to 24 M3 Stuarts for the Battle of Saipan. These tanks were nicknamed the Satans. Colonel Unmacht's men used the Ronson to develop the United States Marine Corps N4 Sherman with a Navy Mark I flamethrower. These tanks were used in the Battle of Iwo Jima. These Shermans were difficult to disable, such that defenders were often compelled to assault them in the open, where they would face the full firepower of marine rifle and machine gun fire. The maximum range of a flamethrower was typically less than 150 meters. Because of this limitation, the flamethrower was virtually useless in an open battlefield. However, they proved a potent psychological weapon against fortified troops. In many instances, Japanese troops surrendered or fled upon seeing a flame tank fire ranging shots rather than risk being burned alive. A battalion commander of the Marines said of the modified flamethrower tanks, "In my view, it was the flame tank more than any other supporting arm that won this battle for the United States."